This season was a monumental one for the North Central men's basketball team. There's a CCIW championship that speaks for that. We're here to sum it all up with a season recap. The Cardinal Report starts right now. Welcome to the Cardinal Report. I'm Alex Simmons. This week we're joined by the North Central men's basketball team and head coach Todd Raridon. Coach, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
Well, Coach, your team starts out 4-7 in the non-conference season and rallies to share the conference crown. Just how did you first hear that Augustana had beat Wesleyan and you guys were sharing that trophy? What was that moment like?
Well, it was special, and I was really pleased for our kids. You know, I mean, they worked extremely hard to get to where we were at in the conference. You know, things did not look good at 4-7, and you know, we had some new freshmen, I guess, new kids that came in and were finding their way, and you know, the blend of old and new finally came together, and it was fun to watch, and it was fun to watch them grow and play hard the way they did throughout the conference. And you know, it's something that you know, the kids can be very, very proud of what they've accomplished.
And your CCIW tournament opening game against Wesleyan, we brought it to you live here on NCTV. It seemed like the first game really in the conference season, at least that I had seen, that your young team really did look kind of young down the stretch.
Well, they did, you know, and it's something that probably having that week off in between our game this last Saturday and then coming into Fridays, you know, we had a week off there, and you know, Wesleyan and Augustana had played on Tuesday, and I think that was probably more of a benefit for those two teams, just having that extra game. And it was something that was rescheduled for those two. So, but it was something that, you know, we just, like I said, we did not play the way we had been playing, and it was unfortunate because we had been playing some really good basketball.
Well, it was a back and forth battle. Let's take a look at the highlight. Cardinal faithful out in full force, the Titans trying to keep them quiet. Early on, the inside game goes to work. Landon Gamble turns and fires, 7-5 Wesleyan. But the green and white have their own post presence. Senior Doug Sexauer's lefty jump hook is good to go, and he wasn't done. Now in transition, he's got a little help from his buddy Kevin Schick, 8-point Wesleyan lead. Again, the Titans catch the Cards napping on defense. Sexauer's laying a part of his 10 first half points. It's not just Sexauer on the Titan attack. Here's John Kuznetsky slamming it with both hands. Wesleyan up 9 at the break. But here come the Cardinals. Brian Evans hustles to corral the miss and kicks it to Kevin Gillespie. Cardinals down 6. Now Derek Raridon looks into his repertoire and pulls out the step back. 38-34. The perimeter continues to be fruitful for the Cardinals. CJ Goldthree has no problem letting it fly from 3, and we've got a 1-point game. Deficit back to 4. Goldthree can't get it to go this time, but Landon Gamble solves it with the offensive board in the bucket, 46-44. Cards go back to the well that is Gamble inside. He lays it in, and we're tied at 46. But the veteran Titans have been here before. Sexauer trails the play and knocks down the tray, and the Titans never look back. Coach, we ran a piece earlier in the year about how your team really needed to win the rebounding battle to kind of come out on top. That had really been the story this year. And you look at that, Wesleyan a +9 in the game. Was that as big of a difference as it seems?
Well, it was huge. You know, and we really had controlled the glass for most of the conference season against the teams that we played. And it was unfortunate that, you know, Wesleyan just really out-hustled us on the glass. And that was a key stat for us throughout the course of the whole season, was we had to be able to control the glass. I thought we did a really nice job the week before against Augustana and matched them really punch for punch on the glass. But against Wesleyan, we just did not do a good enough job of keeping them off, and consequently, you know, they got a couple of extra possessions, and that's something you can't let a good team like Wesleyan have and expect to win.
For sure. What did you tell your guys after the game?
Well, I was proud of them. You know, I didn't want just the one game to make or break our whole season. I mean, what they have done as far as, you know, champions of the conference, CCIW. I think that was the first time in 20 years, something like that. And that's something that they can't take away from them. And, they earned everything. I felt as the season progressed, we got some respect within the league. And that's something that probably we had not had. And it was nice to see just how this team came together from the start of the year back in October to where they were. The end of February was night and day, and it was just a tribute to them.
And Coach, you look at that Wesleyan kind of veteran team, those guys knocking down big shots late in the game, really a junior, senior laden lineup. Is that where you guys look to be maybe in a year or two?
Well, I hope to be there next year, to be honest with you. But, there's something about the experience factor. And if you take a look at the Wesleyan game, the kids that made shots, Sean Johnson, who's a senior guard that started for 4 years, Sexauer, their post player, who I think hit 2 or 3 threes on us, senior, that's played for 4 years. I mean, those kids stepped up and made plays, and, it's just something that was unfortunate for us. But you can't, there's something to be said about that experience, and they took advantage of it.
And, you're a veteran of the coaching profession. What's, you talked about the process. What's it been like to see this team grow up over the year? And kind of, have you been in a situation like this where a team has kind of grown so much from the preseason to really the culmination of the CCIW tourney?
I don't think I've had a team quite like this one in the past. And each team is different. Each year is different for them. But this team, I don't remember or recall, and that might be my age, but I just don't recall the youth that we had filtered in with some upperclassmen like I had this year. Usually we have some upperclassmen that maybe we play a sophomore or maybe one freshman, but this year we relied heavily on that mix of senior juniors with some heavy freshmen. And
you talk about freshman heavy rotation. We had talked at the beginning of the season, I believe, when you guys were scrimmaging, that it was a chance that those minutes are out there. Somebody's going to have to come in and snatch it, make the most of that opportunity. And Landon Gamble, first team all CCIW, came in this year, really developed as a player, and really almost looked like a different guy at the end of the season than he really did in that scrimmage.
Well, he did, and it's a tribute to his work ethic. I mean, Landon is a tough young man. He just improved as the season went on. I think a big part of that was he, probably came in out of shape, but I think as the season progressed, he got into shape, played his way into shape, and consequently played more minutes for us. And he didn't get in foul trouble like probably did early in the season. And consequently, he was a big reason why we continued our run the way we did in the conference. And like I said, he was first team all CCIW, so the other coaches felt very strongly about the way he progressed throughout the course of the conference season.
And he's one of those guys that, as a big man at this level, a lot of times you don't see guys that come in so polished, I think the word is, on the low block, being able to use both hands, having a lot of veteran-like moves. Was that something you guys saw in him early?
Well, he could in high school. I mean, he was a very, very good high school player. He was undersized, but yet Landon uses his body so well to shield off defenders that, in the game Friday against Wesleyan, he had a lot of shots that were in and out that he usually hits against us, and I think probably that was one of the fatigue factor from the standpoint of him playing a lot of minutes throughout the course of the year. But he's like I said, a very talented young man, and we still have 3 years with him, and I think he has a lot of room to grow, and I think he can grow, and strength is probably his biggest detriment right now that's holding him back, and it's just something that's he can improve that in the weight room.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch. The Cardinals rallied this year after a tough non-conference season. We've already talked about it a little bit. A CCIW trophy was a reward for the team's hard work. That's the subject of this week's What's the Word?
We started 4-7, and we were only picked to finish 6th in the conference. And then to go up and finish first, we proved everybody wrong, I guess.
Coach, he did a great job, coming in with like 18 freshmen, that's a big task to take on, and he did a very good job with that, and I thank him for what he done for us. I know us, we never give up, we fight hard to the end. We don't care what people predict about us and stuff. We know that we're good enough to make it like we did this season and win co-conference champs, and then we proved it this year.
He really didn't give up on us, he kept same enthusiasm every day in practice, made sure we were working hard, and and he didn't give up on the young guys too. You know, he knew what they were capable of, and that they were able to play, you know, at a high level. I think we're in a good spot right now. You know, losing Brian and Mike is tough, but we got, you know, everybody off the bench was a freshman, or Aaron is a sophomore transfer. But you know, we're still really young, and work hard in the off season. Who knows what can happen next year?
Coach, we already touched a little bit on Landon. What are some of the things that some of these other guys on the team need to work on going into the offseason?
Well, I think overall strength is the biggest thing, and two is finding somebody to replace Brian Evans. You know, that's something that you know, we'll look extremely hard at, and it's not going to be easy to replace. Just his work ethic. I believe he led the conference in offensive rebounding at 6'3", which that in itself is amazing. But that just says the type of individual he is and the work ethic he brings to our team. And so the strength factor and trying to find somebody to replace him is going to be huge for us between now and next October.
How different does it feel going into this offseason, whereas last year you lose a lot of senior contributors? You know, I know you guys don't stop recruiting, but you talk about the giant 18-man recruiting class last year. You know, when you're coming in next season with really plenty of guys that have experience, it almost seems like it's going to be a different world.
Well, it'll be different than it was a year ago, but you know, we're continuing to recruit the high schools at this particular time. You know, you always need to add quality kids into your program, and you know, I think we have some. Obviously, we've talked about some good young kids in our program. We have some good upperclassmen that within our program, and we have some kids that, you know, did not get a chance to play as much as they probably could have or should have, but you know, they got beat out, and so the off season will definitely tell. But from a year ago to where we're at right now, I mean, we're in much better shape.
Well, it's going to be encouraging to watch. Stick with us. Two players essential to the Cardinals' conference crown will join us just after this short timeout.